Hello and welcome to the BeeRPad. It is Championship Sunday, and I am joined by Marcus Beer, my outstanding co-host, outstanding human being, and
Outstanding in a field.
yes, and the finest defensive midfielder I've ever met in my life. In real, in real life.
I'm the most offensive person you could ever meet in any life. And how are you, my dear friend?
I'm pretty good. How are you this weekend?
Yeah, piss off. You sitting there having got your Premier League trophy and your FA Cup final still to come, your Champions League final all bought and paid for with your freaking Thor playing up front with his flowing locks and
Yes,
financial fair play violations all left, right, and center, and Sky pissing me off. And
we shall.
No, look. Let's just say it's not been a satisfactory season. Far from for my team. This is why I've gone retro to 1985-86, the season where we won the double, and we did it without sports washing millions from the Middle East.
The old crown paints, is that correct?
Oh, that is Crown Paints, yes. That's British right. Paint maker, yes, indeed. I'm just wondering how much more shade I can throw today. I've been to the shade store, I've bought all the shade, and I'm going to throw it.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's all in good jest.
What year is that from? Crown Paint? I remember
85-86. This particular shirt.
See, I wonder, are they even still around?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wonder, like some of our old kit sponsors, like Thomas Cook, the travel agency. Like, is that?
Oh, they were. Thomas Cook were around. I think they may have gone under during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Thomas Cook were around. I mean, for the longest time, we were sponsored by Carlsberg. Probably the worst lager in the world. Before we have Standard Chartered, I dare anybody to tell me what the fuck Standard Chartered does. I mean, who gets sponsored by accountants?
Yeah, I still miss when Dreamcast they sponsored Arsenal for a bit.
Oh God, yeah.
Nintendo sponsored Fiorentina over in Serie A, and I thought those jerseys were the coolest. I mean, because it's freaking said Nintendo on it.
Yeah.
IDOS used to sponsor City, so there's another video game tie-in.
Oh my God, yeah. It's apparently if you sponsor Man City, you go bust at some point. So we can all live in hope. I mean, it might be a bit much hoping that an entire nation state goes bust, but fingers crossed.
So we were talking about football, obviously, Premier League specifically, and we have a lot to go over. Where do you want to start? Start at the top of the table, bottom of the table?
Well, I think we should start with our own individual teams first and foremost.
Fair enough.
As I am a glutton for punishment who wants to get this out of the way,
before
we go on to the other stuff, I think it's only fair that I congratulate you on your win.
Thank you.
Your Premier League win, coming from behind to beat a very exciting Arsenal team that, in all honesty, was probably the pick of every neutral just to see the status quo upset. So yeah, I mean, again, this is what happens unless you've got a 30-point lead going into Christmas like Liverpool did. The season we won the championship or the title rather, you cannot discount Man City because you get into that final third and you are relentless. I mean, you are like a bunch of chavs at a juicy warehouse sale, juicy couture warehouse sale. That's what it is. And it's like, get the hell out of the way because Man City are coming through. And yet again, you've done it. You've done it to my team more than once. You've done it to Man United. You've done it to Arsenal this season. So look, kudos. When you get all your bad results out of the way at the beginning of the seasons, and then you click from there. I mean, if I have anything rock to cling to in hope is that we did give you a bit of a, we did play very well in that season opener, the Community Shield.
Yes.
And that did, for me, that actually I thought we would, kick on from that. But it turns out that you guys were just in your usual preseason torpor. But at least we won one trophy this year. all this season,
And
which was nice. But yes, congratulations to you. As for my team, well, shit. That could be me talking about the team. It could be talking about our season. To say that it did not hit expectations would be a chronic understatement. At one point, I think we were 10th. I mean,
that's right.
thankfully, I mean, we've underachieved, but we're not Spurs and we're not Chelsea. So those are the straws I'm grasping at. And Liverpool is still the best team in Liverpool, and Everton are still the fourth best team in Liverpool behind 21 and our under 18s. Both of whom could beat the shit out of Everton on any of the days. Yeah, we had injuries. Virgil van Dijk was not playing well pre-World Cup and everything, because everything goes through him at the back. He did not have a good season. Things tightened up. And that's kind of just went on from there. Matip, Joe Gomez, injuries, woeful loss of form. Fab is another one, woeful loss of form, kind of picked up over the last 10 games, but just not good enough, unfortunately. He seems to have lost a yard of pace. And since he makes Harry Maguire look quick, I think he's kind of done. I mean, he was beaten for pace today,
Right.
for the third Southampton goal. And then losing Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota was, I mean, it's the equivalent of taking out Kevin De Bruyne and perhaps Riyad Mahrez from your side, and just not having anybody really to replace them. We've had a couple of good, promising things come through. Our young midfield tyros seem to be playing well in fits and starts. None of them you can trust to break a game yet, but Bajcetic and Curtis Jones, who is finally free of stupid injuries. Can you believe he scratched his eyeball and was out for 3 months? And Harvey Elliott, who's obviously come back as well. He started the season well, tailed off. Bajcetic took over in the mid-season before he got his injury, and then Curtis played well. So, I mean, that is a midfield three that I think we can perhaps build on within a squad. I don't think they're good enough to be regular first teamers yet.
Right.
I do think that our tweak in positions, or tactical tweaks that we've seen, in the last 10 games with Trent playing more in midfield, is definitely something that needs to be continued. But it needs to be Trent starting in midfield. He goes off, he plays for England over the next couple of games, comes back, and that's it. We're turning him into a midfielder, and we buy a right back. We need a right back. We need to sell Joe Gomez. We need to sell Joel Matip, or keep Matip as a backup, maybe, or one of the two, because both of them are calamity Janes. Tismikas might go. Kwame Kelleher looks like he's on his way out, and we're going to be looking for a new backup. Thiago can go. Wonderful player, but and obviously he'll come up again later. But he's too injury prone. We thought that he would help us beat the low block, but he can't really do that from a hospital bed. Lovely player. I mean, he is just a wonderfully technically accomplished player. And every game he's been in, he's given 100%. I've never seen his head drop, and there's a lot to be said for that. But
maybe he's suited for a less physical league.
Yeah, we can't carry him anymore, and we can't. And the same goes for Fab as well. He was great for a couple of seasons, but he's never been quick. And now he's being bypassed by quicker players regularly, and quicker passing. People just circumvent him. So we need a defensive rock there to play with Trent in the double pivot. I would like to see us go after Declan Rice, which I don't think we will do. Rumor has it that we may make a move for your boy Calvin Phillips, because he's obviously on the outs with Pep, and he may have a second chance next year to come good, a la Jack Grealish. or they may just cut their losses. And then, like I said, when you lose so many other players with injury, Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota, who are just
right.
We've seen how good they are since their return. The high points has been, Mo Salah. He's had not as many good games as he normally has, but he was 1 goal away from recording 20 Premier League goals in a season for the 5th consecutive season. He's chipped in with assists. He's had some really rough games. But then who hasn't? Cody Gakpo took a little bit of time to bed in, but he looks like he can fit that Bobby Firmino role of the false 9. He gets stuck in, he runs around. And then that just brings us to our prize signing.
Yes.
Darwin Nunez, who is out injured again. And look, he's off to get a full preseason. I think there is still something about that kid. Are you okay over there? Have a drink. Have a cup of tea. Darwin Nunez is someone who I think can come really, really good. He's got the stats. He's got the pace. Hopefully the language barrier will be picked up by then.
He's a big kid too.
He's a big lad. He's big, but he's lightning quick.
Yeah.
And he could be our difference, whether it's off the bench, whether it's on the left-hand side, whether it's leading the attack. If we want to go with an out-and-out striker, he can do that. I think Mo Salah's games will be more managed next season, leaving more time for us to maybe look at Luis Diaz on the right wing, and then Gakpo and Darwin in alternating. I mean, if we put Luis Diaz, Darwin, and Cody Gakpo up front, and even we throw Jota into that mix if you want to go with 4 attackers, all of those are comfortable popping up everywhere. As is Mo. I mean, he can play behind. He can play up front. He can play on either wing, and he can play just behind as an attacking midfielder type thing. So I think our attacking riches are great. We've got attacking riches,
very much.
But our midfield, I mean, we're losing 3 midfield players. If all goes well, we will probably lose 5 midfield players, because obviously Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who just had a wretched time with injury, and as we've discussed before, I mean, it's just a tragedy that he never hit the heights that he was about to hit before the injury. James Milner, who is an absolute stalwart, and I'm sorry to see him go. I mean, we saw his contribution again today. He ended up playing left back for the final 20 minutes. And he didn't give an inch. He may not have the pace, but the game went on for 100 minutes, and he was still going at the end. And I think, our loss is Brighton's gain. I think he will do well there, and hopefully perhaps he'll come back to Liverpool as a coach, maybe in 2 years' time. And then Naby Keita, who, to be honest with you, the least said, the better. The story, the things I'm reading in the press, which could always take with a pinch of salt, is that he's been over for 4 or 5 years now, hasn't learned the language very well.
Really?
I mean, really is not communicated to communicate. Obviously, he's been very, very injury prone. Has had a couple of good games. Has had a couple of good goals. I mean, he scored in the 4-0. Twatting of Man United last season. When he's been good, he's been great, but he's just been awful or injured too often.
Yeah,
I think both him and obviously, like I said, Thiago need to be shuffled on. Well, Kate is going, so I won't miss him. I mean, I've already been missing Oxlade-Chamberlain for about 3 seasons, so it'll be nice to have their wages off the books. And then with Jurgen, our manager, at one point, I thought he was just going to walk away. I thought he was burned out. I thought everything was getting to him. We've seen it quite a few times this season when he's been yelling, lost his temper, he's been sent to the stands. Obviously, the most recent fine, he's been snippy with the press. And I understand why. We were expected to kick on from last season. Right. Darwin and Cody Gakpo were supposed to be the missing pieces, but due to the lack of funding in the midfield, I mean, I'm not even going to mention Arthur Mello, who came in. We paid $4 million in a loan fee for him. Juventus really saw us coming there. And he got, I think, 16 minutes off the bench at some point. So that's that breaks out at what? £400,000 a minute. I mean, yeah, oops, indeed. He's a bit of a disaster. Right up there with Stephen Corker as one of our worst signings ever. But yeah, I think Jurgen finally got the message in that we needed to tweak the formation. I would have liked to have seen us do it at the over last preseason rather. So we came in with the 4-2-3-1, because I think that's our best formation. Gives us a really good lot of attacking balance, and then we have two anchors, and then we can have some defensive solidity behind them, with those two midfielders dropping into the fullback places. Never really worked because we had so many players injured. So we'll see. The hard work starts now for Liverpool. Everybody gets a 2, 3, 4 week break, and then has to come back. Some players are off playing international football. And then we'll talk about the transfer stuff. And I think, you and I can talk about that. We can talk about it later in the show. But sure. Deeply unsatisfying. We should have been battling you for everything. The way we rolled over and let Real Madrid tickle our bellies in the Champions League was horrible. I mean, going 2-0 up at home, then conceding 5 to a mediocre Madrid team. I mean, you basically put Madrid in their place. And so, yeah. So I know we've had a crap season, and I think you've had a crap one too. So there you go. Let's hear about your miserable season, shall we? Lay it on me, big boy.
Well, it was a very unusual season for everyone with the Winter World Cup. That made health management a big deal. And for a squad like City, where there is a ridiculous amount of depth, that really helped. And I think that's a big reason why we were able to catch up to Arsenal. That also because there's a lot of young players on that team that don't have the experience. So it was partially Arsenal running out of gas, Arsenal suffering injuries, especially to Saliba, who really was, the glue to that whole defense.
Yeah.
And partially is that experience of a young team needing to lose it before they can win it. So next season, I'm going to be terrified of Arsenal if they come back with the mentality, that they have a chip on their shoulder and they're angry about how this season went for them, when they really should be proud. They had an amazing season.
Yeah.
Very few pundits, and us included, had them in the top 4. So, fantastic season for those guys. But for my guys, there was a lot to love, obviously. Erling Haaland, ridiculous. I don't know anyone who predicted those kinds of numbers. So I certainly did not. I didn't even think he was a top 2 for Golden Boot, but
especially after his showing in the Community Shield.
When Darwin was the better pick, apparently.
Yeah, but everyone was saying 2 and sets up 1. But I mean, this just goes to show. I mean, the man is. I think, and I'm sorry to interject, but I just want to say he should be a lock on, as far as I'm concerned, for the World Player, was it the Golden Ballon d'Or or whatever it's called? The Ballon d'Or. Unfortunately, I think they're going to give it to serial tax dodger Messi. Who's achieved nothing at club level, but finally got his World Cup. But I do think there is nobody in the world like Erling Haaland right now. He's taken the mantle on from Ronaldo and from Ronaldo and from Messi. And the other thing is, he seems like quite a nice bloke.
He does.
He's well grounded, and it really hurts me to say that about a Man City fan. And it just burns my chaps my hide that there was a game against Borussia Dortmund, Liverpool Borussia Dortmund, 4 years ago, where it was 4-3, I think. And it was a group game, Champions League. at Anfield, and we had two players from Borussia Dortmund really give us a lot of shit. One was Erling Haaland, and then we went and bought the other one in Takumi Minamino. And Taki Minamino, don't have a problem with him. He seems to be doing okay over in Monaco. He never really got a fair crack of it. But can you believe that we went for the wrong guy? We should have just fucking said right there, how much do you want? Let's just give it, he's young. We don't care. You can have Sadio Mane. Boom. But yeah, that is a huge misstep on behalf of, I think, Liverpool's scouting and everybody involved, that we could have really maybe nipped in a year, 18 months to 2 years earlier than him really taking off, and just got him in. And he would have, I think, fired us to so much more. But he is a wonderful player. There's nothing like him. Both him and De Bruyne seem to have this telepathic thing that is you get with the best players. I mean, it really reminds me of just going back to Liverpool, Steven Gerrard and Fernando Torres, when they had that one season together, and there was that instinctual, telepathic, almost understanding, and those two. I mean, best players in the league by far, and they should be the only two in consideration for all the big awards this season. Nobody else from any other league comes even close, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let's see. Since they changed the criteria, it used to be calendar year for the Ballon d'Or, but now it's season, which makes more sense. Yeah. And there's still a couple of trophies left to go, so let's see how those pan out.
You do indeed. I mean, I am so torn. I won't be watching the FA Cup. I hope it goes to penalties, and they end up still going to penalties. Nobody gets the upper hand until the day before preseason, before
Champions
next
League
season
final
starts. Yeah. And as for the Champions League, I mean, there was I had a small inkling of, all right, will I support Man City? If they win, does their league place in the Champions League go to fifth place team? Which I thought would be quite logical, because that's what happens with the Europa League places, right. The FA Cup and the League Cup. They go to next in league, but Champions League doesn't do that. So fuck them.
Weird.
Sorry, mate. I love you, but
no problem.
Yeah, I would. I mean, look, not even an appearance on Ted Lasso can make me root for Pep Guardiola. Unfortunately, especially when I read some of the things that were said. We could talk about them offline anyway. I just want to say congratulations on the league title. It really hurts. You totally deserve it. Nobody has been better this season. You've been better than everybody in every position. And I'm done.
So getting back to Haaland, obviously I knew he was a big, powerful, tremendous goal scorer. Obviously he's young, so he has that great enthusiasm. You look how happy he is after he scores or when his teammates score.
It's like a big fucking kid.
He is a big kid, but what really surprised me was his professionalism. Apparently, he's always one of the first to the training grounds. He's always one of the first getting therapy after matches. Grealish makes fun of him because apparently he chides Grealish for going out for drinks when he's like, you should be back here getting therapy, getting your muscles massaged, not going out to pubs. But,
well, I think he's got a dad who has been through it all.
Right.
Especially the horrific injury that was inflicted by Roy Keane.
That's right.
I think that's been ingrained in him. I think he's got an older brother as well who also plays. I'm not sure. But I think, he's the model professional. He is. Yeah. I mean, he knows you only have X amount of time in this game. He saw what happened to his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, he is making £700,000 a week.
That helps.
Which, and you want to protect that, and that's only until Real Madrid come in about 2 seasons and try to offer him £1 million a week.
Which seems likely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's a smart kid. I mean, it's so tough at that age. I mean, you and I were that age once, and we were like, oh,
I was not that
booze.
together at
Well,
all.
no, but I mean,
Yeah.
no, we were not like that because we were
Yeah.
like, oh, going out, drinking, having fun,
Yes.
eating crap food, dancing, hanging out with our mates, trying to score.
Yep.
We live forever. We're indestructible, and those days are long, long gone because now we are both,
It
certainly.
turns out we are quite destructible.
We are indeed. We are decaying at the rate of knots. So yeah, he is he's a great role model.
He is. And I don't know much about his brother, but he definitely has a hot sister. So check out her Instagram. No, just kidding. No, you should. So other players that impressed me, Gundogan, I thought had a great, kind of under the radar, great season. He really
possibly final season.
Possibly final.
City. Yeah, he's not signed for anybody yet, and rumor is he might be going to Arsenal. He might be that cog in the Arsenal because they've sold Granit Xhaka.
That would terrify me.
I don't know. We will talk about Arsenal in a bit. Let's just focus on your boys.
Yeah. So Gundogan, he did whatever Pep needed, whether he needed help, needed to assist Rodri in keeping the defense solid, whether he needed someone to run in behind balls and score, whether he needed, and this is the thing that he adds that I don't think any of other midfielders have. He does the pause up play, which Pep likes. It's deciding when to hold the ball or when to pass the ball quickly. So he's our best tempo setter since David Silva left. He's the only one with that in his toolkit.
All of our other quarterback, isn't he?
He really is. And all our other midfielders are more aggressive and forward playing, but he is the quarterback. He is the tempo center. So I really appreciate the job he did. Rodri was tremendous. And he had to play a ton of minutes. He played more minutes than anyone in the squad, partially because Calvin Phillips was not so good and for parts of the season was not in shape. So I never wanted him. I believe in our preview video, I said he looks like the kind of guy that will try to fuck your sister. And I maintain that. And I really like.
He tried to fuck Erling Haaland's sister.
Yeah, probably did.
I would not want to mess with the Haaland family. Sorry.
No,
they're all giants.
And I really liked Romeo Lavia, who was our young defensive midfielder that we sold to Southampton. I really thought he was promising, but we went with Calvin Phillips instead. I really wish we kept him, although apparently we can buy him back, especially now that Southampton is gone bye-bye.
He did not have the best games today. I mean, he gave away the ball for the first goal. Unfortunately, he was under pressure. I mean, he was given a hospital pass, so they tried to play the game from the back, and he ended up passing the ball directly to Diogo Jota, who scored. Yeah. But he did buck up his ideas after that. He was very neat and tidy in possession, and it's also rumored that he doesn't want to come back to City. But it's rumored that Liverpool are looking at him as well. So
I think
we should definitely do a transfer roundup at the end of this on who we need. So
yes.
All right.
Calvin Phillips was my only big disappointment. Pep made some great signings. Akanji surprised me, and he really helped us when our injuries were biting down. Ake had a great season.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that from Nathan Ake.
And my favorite was midfielder John Stones when Pep
reinvented.
I love that. And that served two purposes. It gave the team a new look, but it also lit a fire under Kyle Walker's drunk ass. Or around the same time that midfielder Stones was happening, Walks was going through that period where apparently he whipped out his dong in public when he was drunk in like a convenience store.
Around Christmas time, and he got suspended, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, unofficially suspended.
But, yeah.
But
yeah, I mean the squad was tremendous. The Pep did it. Arguably, this second half of the season was arguably his best under City. I do think as a whole, the first championship he won, the Centurions team was better. But for the second half, he did a tremendous job, especially against Real Madrid, where he just stomped them.
Yeah, that defeat was, or beating Real Madrid was seismic. It really was, and it just goes to see now if you guys kick on from here and go on to dominate Europe for the next 4 or 5 years. I think a lot will depend on if Pep stays.
Yeah,
and it will also depend on if your team is found guilty of the 159 charges of irregularities, which could mean points deduction, expulsion from the Premier League. Cash fines are obviously useless because it's just chump change.
Right.
But yeah, we'll discuss those when they happen. And if and when they happen. So until then, just enjoy this. Yet again, another title. I still would like to see Pep go down and manage like Accrington Stanley or something. See if he can do it with a side with no fucking budget, because he has been. I mean, he's the ultimate football manager player, because at the end of the day, he only picks teams where there's no opposition, or you're going to get bankrolled. And so that is my only quibble with Pep. Well, one of many quibbles I have with Pep, but the only question mark that's on him. And people say, "Oh, what about Klopp and stuff?" Well, Klopp went to Liverpool when they were not great. Klopp went to Mainz when they weren't great. He went to Borussia Dortmund when they were not great, and he turned them into great teams with shoestring budgets.
Right. That's all fair.
Pep does not have that. He's forever going to be asterisked, or even double asterisked, until he says, "You know what? I'm off to manage Levante in Serie in the Spanish in La Liga, or somebody like that. A low team, a team with mid-table team, and see if he could do it."
I think he's going to take a break from clubs after this gig, and he'll try a national team.
That's going to be interesting for him, because when you come to national team, that's a whole different kettle of fish, where you cannot buy your players in. You have to work with what you got. Yeah. So yes, I would like to. You know what? I'm inviting Pep Guardiola to come manage Wales or the Philippines.
Hey, I'm down too.
Yeah, there you go. See if we can turn either of us into world beaters. My money's on that. All right. Well, enough brown nosing the Blue Mooners.
How about let's talk about the relegation battle? Do you want to go there?
Yeah.
All right.
Disappointing. Look at this. We've got a Chiron, and it's all lower third.
And just so everyone else knows, let's take a look at the bottom of the table here. The relegated teams are Leicester City, Leeds United,
deserved it,
Southampton.
And they deserved it too, because I mean the bottom two in particular have been two of the worst teams by a country mile. You just look at those loss, draw, loss, and across the board. The 17th and 18th, that is the big one. Until 10 minutes to go, that was reversed, and Leicester was staying up because Everton. Everton scored, and despite Leicester beating West Ham. So you look, at the end of the day, you can argue with the facts that Leicester didn't win, didn't get enough points. They're down there on merit. Boom. Unfortunately, Leicester are a way more likable team than Everton.
Right.
Who are horrible team of cloggers with, I mean, obviously they had Fat Frank, who was fired. But they have, Sean Dyche, who is, bald and ginger at the same time, which is and he's a clogger. He doesn't deserve to be a Premier League manager. I'm sorry to say this. Especially when you look at Vincent Kompany and what he's done with Burnley. Burnley fired Sean Dyche after relegation, comes straight back up, playing some of the best football the Championship has seen under the stewardship of Vincent Kompany. And they will probably carry on to do that next season. And I look forward to them twatting Everton if Everton is still in the league. So this is the thing. The financial fair play issues that are being investigated at Everton. They've posted major losses and spent a lot of money.
Spent a ridiculous amount of money. Not great results.
Horrible results. they're building a new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock. If they'd have gone down today, they'd have gone out of business. I think it would have been obvious for all to see because they'd have lost all their players. I not only hate Everton because they are Liverpool's. They're not even our rivals anymore. They're just our noisy neighbours. To steal a quote from Alex Ferguson, but at the end of the day, they are a bunch of thugs and cloggers who, ruined Virgil van Dijk's career in particular. I still hate Jordan Pickford with a level of bile and hatred that cannot be measured. I really do think that Aaron Ramsdale needs to come good so that he can become England's number one. And I really would have loved to have seen Pickford in the Championship next season.
Well, what about Nick Pope? You want Ramsdale over Pope?
Yeah, sorry, Ramsdale's been really good this season.
Yes,
Ramsdale has been the best English keeper this season. Better than Nick Pope. Sorry. I think Ramsdale has got the confidence. He doesn't make the howlers. He is on fire, and he deserves to be England's number one. Pickford, I don't think he's as good as Ramsdale, but obviously I'm biased in that I hate Jordan Pickford,
of course.
But it's going to be interesting to see if if Leicester, if Everton are found guilty of these irregularities and are not relegated, they open themselves up to a lawsuit from Leicester. Everton will be sued by Leicester. Sorry, it happened a couple of years ago, like a decade, 15 years ago. West Ham won on the last day with two players in Javier Mascherano and Carlos Tevez, who turned out were not signed properly and had to pay 20 million. This was like mid-2000 and aughts. And they had to pay 20 million in compensation to the team who they beat. They stayed up above. I think if something like that comes down against Everton, they don't have the money. They don't have $2 bills to rub together to start a fire. So yes, I think Everton, this thing might run, because worst case scenario, Everton will be down and have a points deduction for next season. Best case scenario for Everton, they will have a huge fine they can't afford to pay, and they will have a points deduction for next season. They may well start minus 12, 14, or even 20 points.
So let's take a look at our preseason picks that we need for relegation. I picked Leeds, Bournemouth, and Fulham. You picked Everton, Bournemouth, and Fulham. But you did make an honorable mention. You were on the fence about Southampton. So you did get that one right, kind of. And I did get Leeds right.
You got Leeds right. I mean, Southampton's always been a club that it's been a bogey club for Liverpool for many a year, going down to the old the Dell before it became St. Mary's. And we would invariably be flying high, and then come down to earth on the end of a 2-0. Having traveled down there on a Wednesday night and a South Coast storm comes in from the Atlantic, or from the English Channel rather. And for the longest time, they were a feeder club for us. Virgil van Dijk.
That's right, Virgil.
Ricky Lambert, remember him? Danny Ings, I think we signed for. No, we didn't sign him. We sold him to them. Sadio Mane is obviously the big one.
Yeah.
But we've signed more than a few players from them over the years. Some have worked out, some haven't. It sucks for their fans. Southampton's a beautiful place to go in the league, especially on a day like this, where over there it's been like one of the hottest days of the year already.
Right.
So I think that I hope they bounce straight back up. I think they're obviously going to lose a lot of players, not least James Ward-Prowse, who is an excellent midfielder and is obviously likely to move on. I mean, he's been there his entire career. He's 28 now. He's the captain, but he's got a great left foot on him. He's a great midfielder. And I personally would like to see Liverpool sign him to fill the gap left by James Milner. the Levia chap you were talking about, he'll
Yeah.
probably move on. I mean, he has his moments, but I think today was just a rough one for him because he got a hospital pass.
He's still
and that
young
was just the
too.
way it is. Yeah.
So.
I mean, there's Tino Livramento, there's Bednarak at the back. I mean, there's a lot of players who will be looking to move on. Most of them are on 50% wage drops because of relegation.
Yeah.
Thankfully, those clauses are built in, so the club will not suffer financially. But I would like to see some of the. I mean, this is my theory, my view. With you'll be playing on a relegated team, you owe that team if they want to keep you. You owe them one season to get them back up. You cannot be a mercenary bastard who just leaves at the first sign of a bad season. We got you in this situation. We're as culpable as anybody. I'm going to knuckle down and I'm going to help us get up next season and back to where we belong. And that's what the fans deserve. And we'll see it probably as well with, we'll see it with Leicester. Leeds, I don't know who at Leeds would leave to make the team better. Actually,
Harrison,
all the players,
Jack Harrison,
all the players could leave.
Yeah,
but I mean, Patrick Bamford and Jack Harrison. I mean, Bamford's been injured.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had a rough time of it as well. I mean, you look at all three. You look at Leeds and you look at Leicester. I would like to see some of those players stay. I mean, you look at
Madison,
Ndidi, Harvey Barnes. Jamie Vardy, unfortunately, is
he's like 50.
he is. He's almost as old as James Milner. He scored a couple of great goals.
Yeah,
but he's he had his moment. Look, he's won the league. He's won the FA Cup.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
England caps.
Like when they won the league 7 years ago, and now they're relegated. That's
and they won the FA Cup last year.
What a strange turn. I mean,
I think things started to go a little bit down when the
owner died.
when their owner died, the helicopter crash, which was tragic, absolutely tragic. And then the squad stagnated under Brendan Rodgers. Seen that happen firsthand. I mean, imagine going away to Stoke on the final day of the season and losing 6-1 if you're Liverpool. Steven Gerrard's final game. So, they made the changes too late. They didn't buy anybody in, which was criminal. They've got a couple of players who, they can sell. But again, a lot of those players are on hefty wage drops for relegation.
Yep.
And so, if they can shift them along, free up some budget. I think, again, with the right manager, Leicester can come back. I mean, they played well against West Ham today. Deserved to win 2-1. It's not saying much about West Ham, whose minds are probably on the
Europa Conference League.
The Europa Conference League final against Fiorentina. Leicester could bounce straight back up. Southampton could, even though Southampton were the worst of the three, with the right manager and the right players staying, they could do well because they've got a really good fan base. The one I really worry for is Leeds, because they seem to be bereft. I mean, they needed, they got rid of Marco Bielsa, and no offense to Jesse Marsch, he was a bad appointment.
I agree.
He was a bad appointment. And then to bring in Fat Sam Allardyce. I mean, that is... I mean, the team just has no spine. It has no soul. It has no identity anymore. They were these super creative mega presses. They were like Liverpool light, and when we were at our peak. And 2 seasons ago, they were terrifying everybody, and they were getting points. Mm-hmm. And then the wheels started to fall off. They're going to need some serious new restructuring. I'm also reading that Elland Road needs serious redevelopment.
It does,
because it is dated and dangerous, apparently. So, there's a lot going on there.
They have a few challenges. They were trying. The owner was trying to sell, and they're partially owned. There's a small minority stake that's owned by the people that own the San Francisco 49ers, and they wanted to take a majority stake, but apparently that's off the table with relegation now. They
I
fired
was
their
reading that it could still be on the table, but the price has
much
gone
cheaper.
down by
Yeah.
a fair amount, like 50%.
They fired their sporting director because of the results, Victor Orta, who really helped to build them up through along with Bielsa and got them promoted. So they're kind of rudderless at the moment. So let's see.
Yeah.
Who knows what will happen there?
There's just no fight in the squad. I mean, you
Yeah.
bring Sam Allardyce in for tactical discipline and fight.
And his giant head.
And his giant head and his pint of wine. But you look at what he was brought in to do, and if anything, they've just gotten worse. I mean, he brought in all the Leeds United greats this week to G up the team. He had them training all week in there, to be rigid and disciplined, and they caved. I mean, they lost 4-1, I think it was at the end, to a fucking Spurs team that have also been massively underperformed and are like on the cusp of becoming nothing but mid-table, mid-table disasters for the next 4 years. So it's tough to see Leeds go.
It is.
It's tough to see all the any team go. But I gotta say, I'm kind of glad I was wrong in that all 3 promoted teams stayed up.
Yeah,
especially Notts Forest. Oh, that was just
the fourth time in Premier League history where all 3 promoted teams stayed up.
First time in a while, and it's been great. That is actually what we need. We need to show that there's the yo-yo clubs. I mean, the Watfords, the West Broms, and the Norwiches, they can't come up every time to go straight back down. I think Burnley will do well next year. Luton, we'll see how they go. Sheffield United. I mean, it's imperative that these teams can stay up. I mean, I'd like to see Sheffield United have a stay up and have a good season because
yes, our dear friend Rob.
dear departed friend Rob, who would be just if there is a if they have a Peacock subscription in heaven, he's prepped.
Yeah, he's over the moon about it for sure.
Yeah.
Now, let us shift to the other end of the table and look at our top 4. So here is the table for the people that may not know what was going on this season. Top 4 was Manchester City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Newcastle United. I picked Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. So I got that one mostly wrong. And I think your picks were actually the same, I believe.
Yeah, quite probably. I mean, I know I probably had Liverpool ahead of Man City and then whoever, but I certainly did not have us there in 5th. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, thankfully, we're 5 points clear of Brighton. But horrible. I mean, the ironic thing is if we'd won our last 2 games, we still wouldn't have qualified for Europe because Newcastle United had a better goal difference than us.
Right.
Which is, again, another sports washing club that needs to be investigated and kicked out of the league.
But we were
I'm going to
very
say
wrong.
that until Qatar come in and buy us, and then I'll be like, "Oh, go sports washing!" No, then I'll have to burn my jerseys.
We were very wrong about Arsenal.
They had their moments last season. They had their runs. They were playing some good stuff. I mean, they obviously turned up to Anfield to their obligatory twatting. But this year, they from my team's perspective, they held on for a 3-2 win, and they were playing really well at 2-0 up, and then their season imploded from halftime. We made the switch of Trent coming in, and everything else then is history because Arsenal lost the 2 points, and you could see the confidence ebbing away because we even had Mo, I think, miss a penalty in that game.
Yeah, so part of it is the character. They have a lot of young players that maybe were not up for this kind of battle, but also they just had some really bad injuries.
They did. I mean, losing Jesus.
Saliba was the big one.
Saliba's the big one. Zinchenko. But I mean, you look at Zinchenko and you look at Jesus. I mean, those are serial winners. Those are serial title winners for Man City. So what they didn't have, I think, was that Odegaard's a great player. I'm just not sure he's the captain.
Yeah, I don't get that sense from him either.
He is a wonderful, wonderful player, but I think he doesn't need that responsibility on top of him. He's had games where he's led from the front and has chipped in. I do think that if you look at Gundogan coming in, he's somebody who'd be the captain. Arteta will turn around and say, "You're the captain now."
That's what is that their transfer strategy? Get more City players?
I think so. I think you got to go. You got to work with what you know. I mean, it's always it's often the case. So yeah, I think Arsenal. I don't know if Arsenal will do as well next season though.
Yeah,
I really don't. I mean,
so much depends on their transfer window.
Yeah, I mean, if they get Declan Rice, we'll see how that goes because he's obviously more of a leader, and and he's obviously a great defensive midfielder. But yeah, I mean, they will basically. What I will imagine will happen is they will target 3 to 5 players, and Chelsea will then buy them, which is what Chelsea did to Liverpool about a decade ago. Every time we were in for somebody, including actually Mo Salah the first time round. Chelsea would just nip in and buy them. They didn't need them, but just because they could. And that's obviously Chelsea's strategy. But I don't know. I think Arsenal will either go one of 2 ways. They will kick on and become a top 4 team on a regular basis again. Or they will do what Liverpool did in 2012-13 after Steven Gerrard's slip and will fade out of it for the next 4 to 5 years because they gave their all, wasn't quite good enough, and they're shattered.
Yeah.
We'll see. Arteta is obviously a great thinker. He's got so much love for the club. And he's obviously had some of the best managers above him in, Pep and Arsene Wenger. And he's just played for some great managers over the years.
David Moyes.
David Moyes. Hey, don't diss Moyes.
I like Moyes.
When did... Oh, that's right. He was at Everton, wasn't he? Oh, fuck Arteta. They can get relegated. Toffee shagging sons of bitches.
So my hope for Arsenal is that they buy Cancelo from us, that malcontent Cancelo, and
I think he's off to Spain. I don't think he wants to be. I don't think he wants to be in this country. I think he's sick of the miserable. Oh, this country in Britain. He's sick of the miserable weather. He's sick of the crappy food, and that's just in Manchester. I mean, shit. I'd trade Manchester for Mallorca if I was him.
That is fair, but I want them to become worse because the thought of them getting better, of their personalities, of using this to galvanize their fighting personality, fighting spirit, is scary for me. Yeah,
we'll see. It's going to be it's going to be a vital transfer window, I think, for every other team except Man City.
Yeah,
you could put the same team out and still run away with it next year. You literally could lose Gundogan and
Silva is another one that might go. Bernardo.
You could lose those 2 and still you've got like some good and youth players coming through.
Yeah,
you probably you can afford to buy anybody you want. So everybody from position 2 all the way down to the bottom team in the conference, they all have important transfers. But yes, horrible season. Congratulations to Newcastle. Man United, the fact that they got... I think Manchester United are in that top 4 because Liverpool was so bad. That was Liverpool's spot right there.
I agree.
You look at their goal difference. They haven't scored as many goals. I was praying, and I think I said this before, that we would come down to the last day where we would say, oh, it's down to the last day, level on points, but Liverpool are going to the Champions League because of the 7-0 twatting of Man United. But it was not to be, and at the end of the day, Liverpool didn't play well enough. So yes, that top 4 is a bit of a surprise, and here's hoping it's an aberration and normal service is resumed next year where we can go with, Newcastle can be up there if they want. Arsenal can be up there if they want, but Liverpool and Man City are battling out for the top 2.
Let's see it.
Because that's the way it should be. Not that we're biased in any way, shape, or form.
Now let's take a look at some of the individual stats that we have here. Obviously, Erling Haaland with those goals. That was kind of nuts. De
My
Bruyne,
player, my
that's right,
fantasy
your
league player.
fantasy
Thank
player.
God. Oh, by the way, congratulations on winning our fantasy league for the 15th year running, Pep fucking Raymond.
Thank you, sir. You and I for Golden Boot, we both picked Mo Salah. That didn't happen, obviously. Although Mo was one away from having another 20 plus
Yeah.
goal season. Ivan Toney could have scored more if he spent less time gambling.
Yes.
Sorry, Ivan Toney fans, Brentford fans.
Silly bugger.
But I did not imagine Holland contending for that. I thought
Well, he
he did
just blew
well.
everything away. I mean, he blew every single record away, and we've discussed enough of him. He's a glorious freak of nature. He seems like a nice guy. Enough talking about him.
Playmaker award. I predicted Kevin De Bruyne. You predicted Thiago.
Yes, well, that was optimistic, wasn't it? But I'm, if he hadn't been injured for 93 games this season, I think he could have done more. But I am very, very pleased that Mo Salah chipped in.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that. There's nobody else who's scored and assisted as much as him this season.
Right.
So,
Trent is there too. Look at that. I mean, as much as people shit on his season, he still did better than the majority.
That's all happened since in the last 8 games, ever since the Arsenal game. He was having a lousy season before that. But the fact that anybody says Mo Salah's a selfish player. I mean, if it wasn't for Mo Salah, I think that, and indeed Alisson as well, Liverpool would have been in a right Chelsea state of affairs.
That is nasty. So we were pretty close-ish in our individual awards.
We failed miserably. Well, no, you got De Bruyne. I mean, let's face it, he is a wonderful player. So I failed miserably. Move on.
Favorite teams to watch as a neutral? For me, it's Brighton. Yeah,
Brighton. Beautiful part of the world again.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of friends who are Brighton fans and have been for a long time. They have survived the rape and pillage of that club by Chelsea in taking Potter and his entire backroom team, and then taking Cucurella. And God knows
you guys took Trossard.
No, we didn't take
Trossard. No, who
took
Arsenal
did.
Arsenal
took Trossard.
Like the other,
and in De Zerbi, Roberto De Zerbi, he has
he does Potter ball. Yeah, he does Potter ball.
Basically out-potted Potter.
Yes, I love it.
I mean, it's potty how much pottering he's done. I mean, Potter may be £12 million better off after being fired by Chelsea. But I think Brighton are 20 million better off because of the compensation, and they have this manager who's now bumped them up another notch. They're playing beautiful football. The last 4 games they've been wildly inconsistent,
right?
As shown by I think they lost again today. It's like win one, lose one, win one, lose one. But they've been such a delight to watch. And I say that as somebody whose team was on the end of consecutive shellackings from them. They knocked us out of the FA Cup, deservedly so. And they twatted us in the league. And it was an excellent performance. It was everything we didn't. And again, so much so, people are saying, again, the scuttlebutt is that he is on the shortlist should Jurgen Klopp decide to walk away this. Which I don't think will happen. Jurgen wants obviously to rebuild and prove that he can be more than a 7-year wonder. But deserves all the plaudits.
He seems to be the manager's manager. Like Pep, Klopp, Arteta, they're all kissing this guy's ass.
They're all paying him compliments because they know he's done really, really well.
Yeah.
But I also think it's that level of, all right, you're having your season. We're going to say nice things about you now, much like Eddie Howe at Bournemouth before him. And it's like, but at the end of the day, when the status quo is put back together, and we're all going to be beating you like an egg.
Right.
I think it's but totally deserved. Great team, great fans. Glad that they've got Europe next year. I hope it doesn't do to them what it's done to West Ham.
Yeah,
Their resources will be stretched a little thin. But
those
again, future home of James Milner. They obviously took Adam Lallana from us back in the day.
right.
So yeah, they'll be my second team very much so next season.
Great front office. I like they use an analytics driven approach, which a bunch of teams
We
are doing
don't
now.
use the word front office. We say back rooms.
Yes,
Do
but they
not ever let me hear those words come from your lips again when we're talking about footy, my friend. There is no front office, okay? It's backroom staff, okay? Okay,
so
we good. I love you. Just please don't do that.
the way they use analytics, other teams are doing it too. Brentford is big on it.
Another team that's overperformed this season
Yeah,
under Thomas Frank. I mean, despite they didn't let the Ivan Toney stuff.
yeah.
They pull them to one side, and
But I wonder how that'll shake out next year. I think he got off light.
Look, I mean, it's the thing that apparently gone off is the fact that he's been diagnosed as a gambling addict.
Yeah,
it is an affliction with him. My concern is that he isn't allowed to train with the team until September or whenever the hell it is. That's unfair. I mean, he's
international too. Is that right?
Oh, he's banned from everything. He cannot be, and he's not even allowed at the club, which sucks. He's trying to get over an injury right now, and that's holding him back. Yeah. He needs to be where the injuries can be assessed and he can return fighting fit. But he also needs that mental health support, and excommunicating him for the next 4 months does not serve anybody any good. And it just goes to show again that the English FA are fucking useless when it comes to, or rather Premier League, are just useless when it comes to doling out punishments. Morons.
So players that surprised us this season, sticking with Brighton, I loved watching Matoma play. I knew next to nothing about him, but he had a crazy good season, and he was a thrill to watch, just storming up and down the flank. It was very, very old school winger type of play. Had fun watching.
Oh well, you could look at. I mean, you could probably pull anybody from that Brighton team. I mean, the ones. I mean, Trossard, he was great until he went off to Arsenal. Right. And I mean, look, to be fair, he may have been shit at Arsenal, but he had a good day today because yes, he got me 9 points today.
Hey,
which is fantastic. But I mean, you for my money, you can't look beyond the midfield duo of Salcedo and McAllister. They're the beating heart of the team. Everything revolves around them. They're like this. They combine so well. They're like a perpetual motion machine, if you will. I think both of them are going to leave the club in the summer. There's nobody is hiding the fact that he's Liverpool's number one target, McAllister. I would cheerfully see both of them come, to be honest with you, because they will work well as a unit. They know how to play together. But they do have, if they can survive this transfer window with most of their team intact and make some astute signings, do the analytics,
right,
and have the Mr. Indestructible James Milner there as a squad player to help out as well, I think they will do well. It's the Thursday to Sunday routine that
can be
Europa
brutal.
Cup.
Yeah.
That's going to be the rough one, and that's why we need a bigger squad as well. For going back to Liverpool, if we are going to, I'd much rather not have qualified for Europe and just focus solely on the league. To be honest with you, but we're there. It's the one trophy Jurgen hasn't won, so, and it's a final in Dublin where there's a huge amount of Liverpool supporters. But yes, I think if they can be smart in their acquisition, build out their squad, make sure they've got enough strength in depth, and the fixture list is going to them. If they have a somewhat cushy home fixture after an away trip to, I don't know, fucking Bosnia, they will do well, because obviously they don't want to get sucked into that relegation battle.
Now, you wanted to talk about transfers. It looks like
Yeah,
this summer transfer window is going to be a busy one. A bunch
it
of
is.
really good players have been sent down, so most likely they will be sold. A bunch of big names on the free agent list, and a bunch of rumored players, with I guess the biggest one being Jude Bellingham, who may or may not be leaving Borussia Dortmund after they choked away the
Oh God,
Bundesliga.
talk about Arsenal choking. Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, oh, that
Yeah.
was just horrible, horrible. I mean, oh
Made me
yeah,
sad.
I mean, I'm sure he wants out of there as fast as possible now. But I mean, where is he going to go? He's already said he doesn't want to go to City. No offense.
I don't think he fits right now, although I'm sure Pep could make it work.
Yeah, but I just don't think he wants to be part of that project. He is, again, this is just what I'm reading. He has no interest in going to the other Manchester club.
Who does? No, I'm just kidding. Not
yeah.
really.
But they can offer Champions League. I mean, he could just stay there. He could stay where he is for another season and then walk away for a hugely discounted fee, which I would love personally, because that means we can come back for him at Liverpool. He does not want to drop down a competition. I don't blame him. I would dearly love to see him at Liverpool as part of my dream midfield is Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, and Trent Alexander-Arnold right there. That's my dream England midfield. All British England qualified, homegrown. That's a midfield that could be there for the next decade. And with other players, just coming in around them. But I hope he doesn't go to Real Madrid. I really hope he doesn't. And I can't see how Real Madrid can afford him. Other Spanish clubs can afford him, and how Barca can afford these players as well. There's shit going on over there that's dodgy. I mean, there's a lot of players who are, you're gonna lose Gundogan. I mean, damn, he's such a good player. Maybe he will do a James Milner and he'll come to Liverpool.
I hope he goes to Spain.
Well, I mean, we've got space in midfield.
Barca does want him, so
how can Barca afford him? How can they afford his wages? This is the thing. Barca are like $1 billion in debt.
Right. So apparently,
that club should be out of existence by now.
Apparently, they can take players on a free and offload some salary by selling, but it will be hard for them to buy players outright.
They shouldn't be allowed to. They should. They violate the financial fair play. They should be wound up, shut down. That's it. End of story. And that's unfortunate, because UEFA and FIFA are just riddled with corruption, much like the Spanish FA. They don't deal with the racism problem, as you can see with what happened with Rodrigo.
Yeah.
In the past couple of weeks.
Vinicius.
Sorry, Vini Jr. That's right. My apologies, not Rodrigo. And that's another reason for Jude Bellingham not to go to fucking Real Madrid. Their fans are racist cunts. Sorry, I said the C word. But if you're a racist, you are that, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that leaves out Italy then.
I mean, another wonderful player who's gone there and you've not seen hide nor hair of, who, if he had played on a regular basis, would probably have got the same abuse, is the French midfielder Aurélien Tchouameni. I apologies for murdering the French language and his name, but he is a wonderful player that we were at Liverpool. We wanted Liverpool and he went to Real Madrid. But why would anybody want to go to La Liga right now when you see what Vinny Jr. is going through? I mean, geez, I would, if we didn't have all the attacking riches, and we couldn't afford him anyway, but I'd love to see him come to the Premier League. But again, you look at what happened to Bukayo Saka and to Marcus Rashford and to Jadon Sancho after the Euro finals.
Yeah.
And the racism is everywhere. And it's really just doing my head in. I mean, it's got at least now in the UK, if you are guilty of racist tweets, social media posts, you can go to jail. They have some very strong abuse laws over there, and
the clubs are more active. They ban racist fans who start the chants. Or
and look, I have actually a much better solution that's really better all around, because I don't think these buggers should go to jail and end up living off the taxpayer. Shoot them. Okay. That's it. Shoot them. Turn them into compost. Spray them all over 10-acre farm, and so we can have our potatoes. They can basically help fertilize, build trees or something, bury them in forests so they can fertilize trees. Because these people are useless. They serve no use whatsoever. They should all be lined up in a row and just got rid of, because it cleans up the gene pool as well.
But Tevez, who is in charge of La Liga, he said if he had the power, he could eliminate racism in 6 months. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
It's like Donald Trump saying he could build a wall.
Yeah, he has. Well, he is the least racist person. He said so himself.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, if La Liga wants to do this, they need to ban every single player. They need to get the Spanish government to pass laws, and then every single Spanish home and away game will have one person in the stands. The Spanish people are not racists, but Spanish football supporters, they are really, really bad. They're right up there with the Italians. And look, the English are not much better. Or Brits. I mean, it's everywhere. It's such a horror. I mean, I'm lucky I've never really experienced it. I'm sure you probably have in some way, shape, or form.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, the only time I've ever experienced it, ironically, is from English people when they learn that I'm Welsh.
Uh-huh.
That's because they know they're inferior to me.
But
and they're jealous.
I do appreciate that the clubs in England actually do something about these fans, though, as opposed to La Liga just seems to be like, whatever.
Yeah, what can we do? Our clubs are bankrupt, and the only two that are successful we own anyway.
Go ahead, make your effigies and hang them.
Yes, because if we don't, we don't do anything, or if we do anything about this, all our stands will be empty, and the only club that'll be successful is Atletico Madrid, and nobody wants that because nobody likes Atletico Madrid. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll get some hate from the La Liga supporters, but just got to say, suck it. Clean up your act.
Back to transfers. Let's say Gundogan and Silva go, as it could happen. I hope not.
Are you going to replace them? Can you replace them, and who are you going to replace them with?
So apparently the high on Pep's wish
Naby
list.
Keita and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Apparently Pep wants Kovacic from Chelsea, and I'm like, sure, I guess.
Okay.
But he's Pep. He knows a lot more about football than I ever will.
Well, I mean, I never thought Gundogan would actually have really fitted in well. But I mean, he's basically came in, took over from Fernandinho. He came in, bedded in with Fernandinho, and then he was on his way. And you had Rodri already coming in as well, right. And you've got this smooth transition in midfield. One comes in, plays with the older guy. The older guy goes off, somebody's new, and then it's just that cycle.
Gundogan was actually Pep's first signing for City.
That's right. I can keep on calling him Gundogan, and it's Gundogan.
Yes, he has the whatever.
He's a
accent. He is a German of Turkish descent. Speaking of racism, he gets it a lot in his country. So
yeah,
feel bad.
We had one of our own in Emre Can.
That's right.
A while ago, until he left for a better club that he thought was a better club, and then we won the Champions League the following year, and he's God knows where. Anywho,
I don't know how you replace Gundogan just because the versatility and the smarts, and he seems like the perfect Pep player.
He's just getting on. He's getting on a little bit, and the Premier League is not kind. I mean, he's not kind on aging legs. I mean, you look at the drop off this season in Jordan Henderson, who was a very similar player, I think, to Gundogan in a lot of ways. The on-field general,
right,
controlling the tempo, gets forward when he needs to, doesn't score as many goals as he should, but has got the respect of the entire team. And it's, does he sign an extension to say, oh, well, I'm only going to be more of a squad player? I don't think Pep would do that. I think Pep's going to bring somebody in, somebody who's probably about 6 years younger, and the cycle will start anew.
Apparently the holdup is City is happy to offer him a year, and they have a policy of sticking to 1-year extensions with players over 30, but he is looking for 2 years. He's just having a kid, so he wants that little extra stability.
I'm sorry, he deserves that stability.
I
He
agree.
really does. I mean, he's somebody that has given his all for the club. The club's all conquering, much like, James Milner. I would love to have seen him stay at Liverpool. And it would be whoever, if somebody's going to come in and say, all right, we're going to sign you on a free, and because we don't have to pay 40 million for you, we're giving you 250K a week for those 2 years. That is an absolute no-brainer. No-brainer for many clubs. I mean, he could be a very big fish. I mean, like I said, I think he could do a job at Liverpool. He really could do a job at Liverpool, as just to bring that experience, much like Milner did. He could do a job everywhere. He could do a job at Arsenal. But if he's going to go off to somewhere, where he's raising a kid, maybe he wants to go to Barca.
Right.
Yeah.
But if maybe these two leaving will be when Foden finally moves to the midfield, which was the original plan. When he was a teenager, he used to shadow David Silva, and the plan was to eventually use him as an attacking midfielder. But Pep liked his aggression, so he played him as a left winger. But Grealish seems to have that position locked down now. So maybe now is the time to move Foden to midfield.
Yeah, I don't know if Foden has the... I've not seen enough of Foden, as a tackler, because I mean, Gundogan has that as well in his armor. He can break up attacks. He can turn attack into a defense, or the defense into an attack. Interestingly, in the Football Manager game I play, I signed Phil Foden. So I got him from Paris Saint-Germain, because they came in and bought him off your boys. And I am playing him either as a left winger, where he's really, really excellent, or I've got him as a driving midfielder, not as a defensive. I've got Jude Bellingham in the defense as my defensive midfielder, and and Foden steaming forward. But I mean, I still think Foden's the successor to De Bruyne. I think
that makes more sense. He is more direct like that than
I think he is. And if he develops, half of the passing ability of De Bruyne, that's and again, he's English, so he's covered by the homegrown rule.
And we extended Scott Carson for another year, which is the most important signing.
Scott Carson, who was at one point at Liverpool.
He was at Liverpool. He is the only Champions League winner on the squad.
Yes, and long may that continue. It's interesting that he has been around for so long. He was at Liverpool for the longest time.
Well, at this point, he's a coach that takes up a homegrown player slot. So
it works. I mean, that's the key thing. That is such a big thing, especially after Brexit. We've discussed this before.
We
so who would you sign if you have? All right, so you have your was it Cancelo? He's gone.
Yeah, Cancelo's gone.
Gundogan's gone.
Most likely.
Okay, so so those are the two you have to replace.
Bernardo is always he's welcome to go if someone makes an offer for him, but so far nobody has.
You got three. Who best case scenario? Those three. Oh, worst case, whatever. Those three go. Who'd you replace them with?
If Lavia was willing to come back, I would use the buyback clause. But if the rumors are he doesn't want to come back, but if I had my way, I would have him back. I like him a lot better than Calvin Phillips. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Calvin Phillips will have a great second year. Like some players need that year under Pep. Rodri, Riyad Mahrez, even Bernardo Silva. They all had unimpressive first years under Pep.
Grealish is the prime example.
Grealish,
£100 million boy.
Yeah. And yeah, he had a fantastic season this year. So yeah. If I had my way, I would go Lavia, and let's go with Bellingham just to see. Even though I don't think he fits exactly, I just wanted to see what Pep would do for him, and also see, because he has that connection. Him and Holland had those years together at Borussia Dortmund, so I like that connection there.
Okay.
And your wish list?
Now, my wish list is obviously a lot longer because we have 4 players leaving, or they've technically left as of today. They finished their they leave at the end of June when the contracts are up. In Keita and Ox and Bobby and Millie. And I think, as I said, I think we will see Gomez and or Matip, one of those two go. Fab might go as well. Kwame Kelleher might go as well. I mean, Costas might go. There's a slew of players, especially on the squad side. Thiago might go. So we could be looking at needing as many as 8 players coming in.
Oof.
Now there's a couple we can promote, I think, from the and several we have on loan. Tyler Morton's one of them, who was at Blackburn, broke his leg. He's a great little midfield prospect, and he basically hooks in with the triumvirate of Bajcetic and Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones for being those young, all homegrown, even though Bajcetic is Spanish. He's been at the club long enough. He is homegrown. That's 4 midfielders right there who are young, who are very technically gifted, and I think can kick on. Fabio Carvalho might actually go out on loan for a year because he's not getting enough time, and Gakpo will play the role that he would probably play. Up front, we're sorted.
Very much
up front,
so.
We have our attacking riches, and if they all stay fit, God help everybody. Just from we'll score. We'll be back there. We're going to score more goals than you, and we'll win 6-5 every time. The problem is the midfield, and yes, I would love to see Bellingham. I think he's top of everyone's shopping list. I just don't think it's gone very quiet on that, on everybody. Which is really unheard of. So somebody's pulling off a sneaky deal, and it wouldn't surprise me, as if to say, if all of a sudden it's like, oh, we found some money down the back of the couch, and Liverpool have Jude Bellingham, because that would be a huge flip to the entire team and the entire fan base and everything. Love it to be Declan Rice with him. I don't think we can afford him, so. I mean, Alexis McAllister is one who can do really well. McAllister can do, I think, what Gini Wijnaldum did for the longest time. A lot of the unheralded work. Gini really curbed his attacking instincts and was a beautiful cog in our machine, or a midfield machine. Milner, Hendo, and Gini, I think, is still one of the best midfields we've had in the last 30 years. No offense to Fab. I would possibly go for James Ward-Prowse. If the price is right, the man he's got a beautiful left foot on him. He gives us more threat from outside the box.
Yeah.
Currently, we only really have Trent or the occasional Henderson blockbuster.
Ooh, who would take the free kicks between him and Trent? They're both
Trent would take the right hand side, the right footed, and Ward-Prowse would take the left footed. There's rumor that Andy Robertson is being scouted by Barcelona, who want him for 40 million. So let me just say here and now, fuck off, Barcelona. Quadruple that, and then we'll talk. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at, in defense, we're looking at Josko Gvardiol. He might be somebody who's coming. We are looking at, who else are we looking at? God, there's a whole list, but we need a right back. We need Trent in midfield. His days as a right back have to be numbered. And the inverted thing is all very well, but unless we're playing a 3-5-2, which I don't think we can because of the amount of attackers that we've got, we need him to be in serious contention in midfield, and we need a really, really good bona fide right back. For the longest time, I thought it would be Gomez. I hope he would get over it, but he has to go. Whatever we can make from him, and just say all the best. Calvin Ramsey, who we signed from Aberdeen, great young Scottish player. Who knows? He may be that guy, but he's been injured, so maybe he will come good next season. I think selling Nico Williams was a huge mistake for us.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as a Welshman, I've always been so proud of him, and I think he really could have done a good job on that flank. I mean, it just shows. I mean, he set up the winning goal against us for Nottingham Forest, and it just goes to show how much we missed him, and letting him go was a big fucking mistake. Yeah, I mean, the big things are all, like I said, it's midfield, another central defender.
Yeah. You did mention Guardiola. I totally forgot that Laporte is another one that also wants to leave City because of playing time, and Guardiola was mentioned as a possible replacement for him as well.
Well, yeah, you can afford him. I mean, the only thing that we've got on him is that he is apparently a lifelong Liverpool fan. He used to watch Liverpool as a kid. He has said he's dreamed of playing at Anfield, and if we can make that work, because that would perhaps indicate we're going more to three at the back, with Kanate moving over to this sort of like right-sided centre-back, right-back hybrid. Because Kanate is the future. Virgil, he needs a strong preseason. That's why I don't want to make him captain or even vice-captain. He's not been the same since the injury. We need a right-back, a central defender, at least one, plus somebody really young to come through who can fit in, because Reece Williams is on his way out, as is the Bolton Baresi, Nat Phillips, despite, that time where he sent Ibrahimovic, sold Ibrahimovic with a dummy for the ages. Yeah, we've just got a long fucking list. I mean, we could easily spend $750 million this summer to really kit out our squad, and we don't have that. We are losing probably about $100 million worth of talent in how much we've spent on these players and wages and everything. Thankfully, we're freeing up wages. We need to trim the fat, but we need a big rebuild. We need 3 to 4 midfielders. We need at least one centre back, preferably somebody who can play centre back and left back, or centre back and right back, or even both.
What was the season where you guys bought Virgil and Allison? Was that the last year you spent big?
That was we spent big on Darwin, but yeah, we bought Allison, and then we got Virgil in January. Allison came in the summer, and we got him like out of nowhere, which was fucking amazing because we just sold Loris Karius. So we sent Karius out on loan, and we thought that Danny Ward was going to be the Liverpool number one, who then went on to, we sold him to Leicester for 12 million. And then, it was January. We basically announced his signing about a week before Christmas. And then in his first game, which was an FA Cup tie against Everton, he scores the winner.
Isn't Karius' contract finally up this June?
Karius is gone too. He won't be returning to Liverpool. And again, he's just had such a rough time of it.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I wish him well. I thought he was our great hope for the future. But Ali, I mean, thank God for Allison this season, or otherwise we would not have been anywhere near any sort of top end of the table. Like I said, 4 midfielders, 3 defenders, bare minimum. And when I say 4 midfielders, I'm going from attacking, central, and defensive. I mean, we need a mix of all of those. Maybe 2 defensive midfielders and 2 box-to-box guys. And then the defense is really key. And I mean, hell, I will go and look at I will give you my current squad. Yeah, I mean, I actually have Trent Alexander-Arnold still playing wing back for me currently at Liverpool for my next game. But yeah, there's a bunch of players who are. I mean, Jurriën Timber. He's the other one, I think, from Ajax or Feyenoord, one of the two. He's popping up a lot, and he can play across the entire back. He can play right back all the way through to left back, which is a beautiful skill to have. In fact, how good is he? Yeah, he's what? Good grief, he must be like 20. Um, he's played so well for Ajax, but he's on our radar. But I think he's also on Man United's radar. Somebody like him would be great because once Virgil is out of the way, he's somebody who could step in there with Konate, because Konate to me is I love Ibrahim Konate. He is big, athletic, and on the hoof, he just looks like a runaway train.
He
Like he
does.
is just rampaging.
It's scary if you're on
It
the
is.
other team.
I would not want to, and he's so lightning quick. I mean, he's the total opposite of Joel Matip, who is again served Liverpool so well,
Yeah.
but he's just so injury prone. But anyway, yes, everybody in every decent football player, or not even half decent one, every world class player on the cheap, I want to come to Liverpool because we need it. We need we've not seen a rebuild like this, defense and midfield. Attack is fine.
So let me ask you one question and I'll get you out of here on this. Realistically, how many teams do you think can afford Jude Bellingham? I think there's maybe like 5.
I'm not sure. I think there's probably one who can out and out afford Jude Bellingham if it gets into a bidding war, and that's you lot.
Right,
maybe
but they're
Paris, maybe PSG.
Yeah,
maybe PSG. I mean, Newcastle. He doesn't want to go to. He wouldn't want to go to Newcastle.
Right. I mean, that aside, like just pure finances.
Pure finances. Well, pure finances. You could say Newcastle, Paris Saint-Germain, and Man City. I mean, they're the three with the deepest pockets. They're the three richest clubs in the world.
Man, you could afford him, I think.
No, Man, you cannot afford him.
Yeah,
Man, you cannot afford him because they spent 70 million on Casemiro.
Yeah,
and they have Old Trafford is another ground that's tumbling into the
that is true
into the ground. The Glazers will not shell that out. If they get bought by the Qataris, that'll be a whole different kettle of fish. But I just don't think he likes Man United.
Right.
He doesn't want to be a part of that project.
Real
shouldn't be able to afford him,
but they most likely can.
They can. I'm sure they can fiddle their way forward to do it. But I don't. I mean, obviously, they're Tony Cruz, Mondric, they're all still there on big pay packets. They're not going anywhere, but they need to be phased out.
Yes, because you don't want 42-year-old midfielders.
not
a pair of them.
300 grand a week.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was down to just viability of like interesting projects, you could add Real to that. You could add Liverpool to it. Chelsea are a joke. Arsenal, Bellingham could do quite well there, but would he do the same job as Odegaard?
Yeah. No need.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario for me, if he doesn't come to, we get this out of left field signing of him, is that he decides to stay for one more year and his cost comes down and he's with us he's signed and sealed and delivered by next January.
Fair enough. Well, that should do it for our Premier League 2022-2023 wrap up. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, share.
And there's nothing left to play for now. That's it. Football's over. Everybody go home. No more cups to play for. Nothing of interest. Nothing to see here, unless you want to go see Wrexham play Man United in San Diego.
That is true. But for our next
we didn't talk about Chelsea. We actually didn't talk about Chelsea.
Yeah, we did not. They spent a lot of money and they made ridiculously long.
$500 million. Well, this is it. Mason Mount might be somebody coming to either Man City or Liverpool.
That's true.
Yeah, 40 million, no more than that. But anyway, yes. Chelsea don't even warrant a conversation right now. How the mighty have fallen.
So weird.
Yeah. Anyway, here's to a great season. Cheers to you for being a fan of a horrible team that deservedly won the Premier League again, third year in a row. Congratulations. And
Thank you,
I
sir.
can't wish you luck for the cup final. Sorry. Well, you can do the double. You can beat Man United because nobody wants to see them win another trophy. But yeah.
Let's see what happens.
We're going to do this all over again in 2 months.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a transfer roundup in the next on July 1st because I've got a funny feeling it's going to be bonkers.
It will.
Bonkers.
It should be a crazy window. But in the immediate future, Ted Lasso is ending, and that should be our next episode.
And Diablo 4 is coming out.
Very exciting.
We should talk about Diablo 4 because I'm not talking about fucking Zelda and shit.
Hey,
fucking stupid Zelda games. Do you play Zelda?
I do. But Wind Waker, I haven't liked them as much since Wind Waker.
I've never liked Zelda games. Never, ever.
Really?
Ever. Nope, never liked them.
Well,
so yeah, I don't
leave a comment about that, people.
Oh well, I've never liked Zelda games. I will not be buying it. I just I hate the archaic gameplay, and I certainly don't want to play it on an out-of-date fucking 720 max gaming system.
Fair enough.
That is just I might as well go back to the fucking Game Gear because it's the same as the fucking Wii or the Switch or whatever we're playing now. And Nintendo haters, please address all comments to kissmyballs@suckit.com.
That's not a real address, so don't actually email that.
It could be.
Yeah, we'll find out. But thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for a very Ted Lasso-rific episode, and we will.
Will they win it all?
Probably, but I hope
they win the whole fucking thing.
Probably, but I hope not. We'll see.
They're gonna do a Leicester, and then they'll be relegated.
And with that news, we will see you next time on the BeeRPad. Bye for now.